Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Deodani. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be chilling as per usual around a lunchtime sort of recording, because it turns out I'm not going to be here in the evening, going out with some friends to watch. I think we're watching new Hunger Games. I'm not really super sure about. I think that's what we're watching. I mean, I don't think there's that many great films out. I don't know what people think about this new Hunger Games. I haven't read this book. I have read the entire Hunger book series. I think I've seen all the movies as well, which is a bit crazy now I think about it, but still. I think an enjoyable teen fiction sort of thing. But anyway, hello everyone. Right now on Fawnhollow, it's 1:50 p.m. on Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. Or young adult novel or whatever. Yeah, Hunger Games. Like, I remember when I was much younger, I did enjoy the first book a lot, and then, you know, I heard they were making a movie. I was like, whoa. I remember there was a YouTube channel, which I talked about recently, I think. I believe they're called Mainstay Pro, who made, like, these fan versions of things which were not depicted in, or probably wouldn't be depicted in the movies of the book or whatever. One of them I remember is about the quarter cow with Haymitch, and I guess spoilers for Hunger Games, by the way. Spoilers for like a decade-old book series, I think, at this point. And they did one for Rue's death in the books. And I remember watching him at a time and just being like, wow, this is so cool, because, you know, at least I feel like when you're younger, when you're a teen, you don't quite, you know, you see the battle royale and that sort of thing, you'd be like, wow, this is like a cool action thing. Like, of course I wouldn't want to be in the battle royale because I don't want to die or anything like that, but it's just like, wow, yeah, this is like a thrilling novel sort of thing. But, you know, now with a more adult lens, I suppose, looking at it, it's like, it's kind of messed up, the entire situation around it, which is the point. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like, whoa, Hunger Games, I can't believe they're like glamorizing dystopias, but not. I think it's a very prominent point throughout the entire book series, is that this sucks like majorly for all the characters, like all the time, and it's like incredibly messed up, you know, just to see how villainous the capital is. And then you get some interesting moral quandaries where you're like, oh, you know, who's actually, you know, evil, that sort of thing, with like Snow versus Coin, and you know how like the civilians, I suppose, of a capital and are not necessarily, shouldn't necessarily bear the weight of the sins of, you know, in their government. They're just kind of more ignorant, if anything, with FA and the other I can't remember, they're not called peacekeepers, they're called something else. Anyway, I thought it was a pretty decent book series. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I genuinely forgot what I was going to say. I completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, oh yeah, so this one's Songbirds and Snakes and Songbirds, something like that. I don't know. It's a bit of a mouthful of a title, and it's a prequel, and it's about, like, I think the president, like the villain in the first book, and like how he became a villain or something like that. I don't know how well received the first book, the prequels were, but I don't know. I thought the trilogy on itself was a good trilogy. I think the first book was definitely really good, and then the second was interesting, and the third was okay. Or no, I think the third was good. I think by that point, like, I was significantly older, I think, when I read the third one, so I wasn't like that enamored by the series anymore. But yeah, I don't know, like, these battle royale things are very sort of messed up, and I suppose a lot of the things, the times they make it even more messed up with these, by having it involving like children or like teenagers and that sort of thing, you know. I mean, the battle royale, I mean, to be fair, battle royale from the Japanese original movie, I haven't actually seen it. I've seen like a summary of it, I think, so I've seen like a montage of it, if anything. Is incredibly messed up, but it was based around like high schoolers just murdering each other, kind of. So I should say unaliving, in case I get demonetized on my non-existent money. Yeah, which is, I suppose, kind of a point of the entire thing in the first place. You might be like, how well do you think you would do in the Hunger Games, you know, if you like were plopped in? Well, okay, I think we had to be law accurate. I'm going to be plopped into the Hunger Games randomly from 12 to 18 in the simulated universe, I suppose, of what's going on. How well would I do? I'm going to be real with you. I don't think I'm going to win, like, in any, like, for me to win, it would have to be like, things would have to be very biased in my favor. Like, when I'm 12, like I'm gonna be honest, I'm 12 to like 15. There's no way I'm winning like any physical altercation. Altercation. That's the word. Well, like, okay, 12, 13, 14. There's no way I'm winning, but I'm just physically not strong enough. I think 15, 16. I would need like a miracle, and 17, 18 is I mean, I don't think I have good odds. I would still put my odds at like, I was gonna say like 1 in 100, and I was like, that puts me lower than like random chance. How many tributes are there? There's 24 tributes. I would put my odds at like 1 in 10 or something. Like, I still don't think I have good odds. I think I would need like something biased in my favor. Like, what would I be good at if it was like a Hunger Games sort of thing? Because the thing is, I don't have like survival skills. I don't know how to like start a fire, like forage. I assume if you're growing up in those conditions, you probably like learn how to do those sort of things. If you grew up in Hunger Games-esque conditions, but again, I don't really have any survival skills to speak of. Like, I sort of, I know the vague ideas about starting a fire. I don't think I could do it in practice, because I think doing it in practice is a lot more difficult than doing it theoretically. So I think the only way I would win is if I was somehow very appealing. Appealing is the wrong word, but like if I was very charismatic and won a lot of people over, so I got a lot of sponsors or something during the actual thing itself. So they like airdrop me like a lighter, or they airdrop me like a fire starter, or like a heated, not a heated blanket, but you know, like the outdoorsy sort of blankets which keep you warm, or like something like that. Like, if I think that would be my strategy. Like, it would be my strategy now if I was like, my brain right now was put into like a 18, 17-year-old, and for some reason the Hunger Games existed in this weird dystopia. Yeah. It's fine as it is. When did you start saying yeah? Probably you should be saying something else, but it's kind of funny at this point. Okay, talk to people, insects, wood, can do. But that would be my strategy. It would basically be like, be as charismatic as possible in every, like, win over the crowd, so then all the people in the capital give me like things to survive, because I will not survive on my own. I don't know how I do that, you know, to be perfectly honest. Like, I will say 12 to 18-year-old me, not particularly charismatic, very sort of boring, if anything. So I think 12 to 18-year-old me is dead. I'm gonna be, unalived. I think I would have to have like an arena which is specifically tailored to me. It had to be one where it's like, being a survivalist is not an advantage somehow. Like, I don't know, the ruins of a city or something. Or actually, probably a better way to do it is probably if it was like a psychological thing, you know, like from the second book where they had I think it was a Mockingjays, and they were like, it was like a psychological breaking rather than a physical challenge or something like that, where there was just like screams of your loved ones and that sort of thing. I feel like it's a very dark episode by nature of, I suppose, the content of the book. I think I'd be okay at being psychologically resilient, you know, that sort of thing. I'm very good at keeping my calm, keeping my cool. So I guess if it was like a horror-inducing nightmare, but I mean, I guess no matter what, it's always going to be a horror-inducing nightmare, but you know what I mean. Then I think I would have a decent chance of surviving. Compared to the average person, though? I don't know. Because this is the average person, again, growing up in Hunger Games times. I don't know if that'd be true. Anyway, I think I would just hope. Well, okay, number one hope is that will never happen. You know, it's very much a dystopian thing. But at the same time, reality has a weird way of reflecting fiction, especially, you know, with the fact we had the Squid Games, and now there's like a Squid Games competition. I don't know if you've seen it. Netflix basically, you know, capitalizing on the popularity of the Squid Games, was like, yo, let's make the actual Squid Games in real life, you know, which is a very much a dystopian thing to begin with, because it's apparently like, I haven't watched it, so maybe it's hypocritical of me to talk about it. It's apparently a load of people who just actually have like genuine huge amounts of debt on the show, and you know, like there's a viral clip of someone who like is failing at the Dalgona challenge. I don't even know how we're going to do the other challenges now I think about it, because people are going to know like the marbles and stuff like that, right? But he failed at the Dalgona challenge, and him just having like a breakdown crying, I suppose, because, you know, he realizes he's still stuck with his debt, and it's like, okay. And there's also a thing where it was like red light, green light, and they had to like, the red light was like for half an hour every single time. Anyway, I'm not going to watch the show because I think Squid Game is good. I think Squid Game in reality is a dystopian sort of view on the entertainment industry and the world we live in right now. And I don't think I'm particularly alone. I don't think that's a particularly controversial statement. I mean, I feel like there is ways you can do it, because I know like Mr. Beast did and I watched a video, but I feel like, I mean, I think also Mr. Beast doing it is also quite a dystopian thing at the same place. But at the same time, like me looking at it, like I had a decent amount of respect for the set building, replication. I was like, that's pretty cool. And as far as I'm aware, it was kind of presented more as a game show sort of thing, rather than having the high stake thing. I don't know. I think it was very much people signing up and then just there to mostly have a good time, if anything. And still, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a different feel, from like an official business doing it. I guess Mr. Beast kind of is a business now, if anything. I feel like the entertainment through YouTube via Netflix is like, it feels a bit more weirdly corporate, which I guess is kind of the entire point. I'm not here vouching for Mr. Beast. Like I don't know how he is as a person. I've never met him. I appreciate the fact that he does do philanthropic deeds and that sort of thing. And you might be like, hey, with a more cynical lens, it feels a bit more exploitative to do it for the sake of these video games. And then on the other hand, I'm just like, I suppose that's better than doing these video games without the philanthropic acts, right, in the first place. I mean, it's a sort of thing where it's like, it's not, if you were looking at it from the, like, I don't know, Anubis weighing up the sins of a human soul, I wouldn't say it's like a pure good intention. There still are some selfish, I suppose, matters intertwined with it, and I suppose a wholly pure selfless thing to do would just be to do it without, any sort of social media recognition in the end, or not one purpose by yourself. But at the same time, you can have the argument that because of his face, how he gets a monetary revenue to do that. Anyway, we're not here to discuss the not the philosophical, sociological, I guess, kind of. I don't know if that's the right word. Moral impacts, I suppose, of Mr. V's video. I'm just talking about Hunger Games, Anyway, but the long and short of it is, I very much liked the series when I was younger. I remember I read it because it was during English class. We had this like, I don't know if reading challenge is the right word. Oh, a little bit of a pause there. What are we doing? Well, what's this recipe? Is this one we just picked up from Captain's Island? I don't even remember now. I remember we were talking about Hunger Games. Sort of vaguely, in the vaguest sense of the word. I don't really know what else to say about Hunger Games. Stretching. Has OBS always had this purple thing for Elgatos? Is that just because it's highlighted? Oh, it's purple because it's blue and red. Oh, wait, what? Why is it red? I have no idea why it's red. How very strange. So I'm just like looking at my OBS. For whatever reason, on the sources thing, Elgato's just in red. Maybe it's because it's being actively recorded. It's the only one actively open. I don't know. Maybe that's a new OBS update. Anyway, sorry. Hunger Games. I mean, if anything, I should talk about Hunger Games more tomorrow after I've actually watched the movie. But oh well. Whether it will be a movie I end up talking about or not is probably a bit more tenuous, especially with how much I spoke about it today. Maybe in the future. Because I don't know. I mean, maybe we won't even see it. I know, I was saying, there's not like a huge amount of movies out. There's the Snakes and Songbirds. There's also Disney's Wish for celebration of our 100th anniversary. I've heard it's very mid. Well, I should say mid in the sense that it's so like formulaically Disney generic that it's bland in that sort of sense, where it's like it's not like offensive or anything. It's not like unbearably bad. It's nothingness. Is how I've heard it described. Whether that's true or not, I can't tell you. I mean, we can look right now. Rotten Tomatoes. Wish. 48%, which is, incredibly mid. But audience score 81%, so it's still liked. It's just incredibly safe. Like, it's classic Disney, is what I've heard about it, Adorable princess, animal companion, evil person probably, and then, some sort of like feel-good story about it, probably a nice song or two in there. I haven't really seen much of a trailer. It's a musical. Who do they get to write songs. Did they get Lin-Manuel Miranda again? Because that's the only person they like to write their songs, apparently. Emotionally inert. Apparently the villain's very good, right? It's referencing classics. It makes itself an afterthought. So that's basically the sort of vibes I get from it. Whereas, like, it's... I mean, if you look at it from... It's just safe. It's too safe, probably. You know, especially, I suppose, you know, animation's going through a sort of, like, renaissance with... especially with both indie animation and other studios now doing more interesting things, you know. Certainly Puss in Boots: The Last Wish blew me away with how amazing it actually was. You know, Spider-Verse is, of course, doing incredibly well. We got indie things coming up with, like, you know, Digital Circus doing Numbers, Hell of a Boss. I can't remember what the original thing that Hell of a Boss spawned from was called. What's that robot one called? Like Glitchsiders or something? It's something like that. I seen like part of the first episode and I was like, it's actually pretty good. Maybe I should watch it at some point. I don't know, you know. Animation's going through a good time. I certainly think. Can Disney afford to be safe anymore? Probably. But I think Disney's very much too big to fail. Sort of category. So I wouldn't be particularly worried about Disney going under. But, you know, when you have as much as money to burn as I suppose as Disney do, it's always nice to be able to see, like, risk taking, I suppose, with the things they do. If they do it. Not this time, it seems. Transparent. Okay, so perfect. Okay. Get me out of construction mode. Again, I haven't actually seen the movie, so it's perhaps a bit premature for me to really be commenting on it. But anyway, hold on. Snakes and songbirds. I just put wish instead of Rotten Tomatoes. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Sorry, wrong way around. 64 to 89%. Okay, so it looks like it's reasonably well received, which is pretty cool. I don't know how the original Hunger Games did, to be honest. I've not read this book, so the first Hunger Games I imagine did pretty well. 84%, 2012. Yeah, about a decade old. Wow, crazy for a movie itself. 84, 81. So that's like good, I would say. Catching Fire, 90%. Wow. 89. Catching Fire was pretty good in the movie, wasn't it? I feel like it was okay. I feel like it might have been the weakest of the books, but I'm not actually sure if I remember right. Mockingjay, the thing I remember watching it was like, this movie didn't need to be 2 movies, probably. Probably would have been fine as 1 movie. 70%, so it's like... So, okay, 80% is probably like great, 90% is fantastic. Which apparently Catching Fire did get. So it's the weakest of a Hunger Games series, which is a bit of a shame, but, you know. I don't know. I feel like Hunger Games makes quite a neat trilogy of a book. Does it need more? I don't know. Was I ever curious about President Snow's origins? Not really, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I guess it is kind of interesting, because I know it's about, like, one of the first Hunger Games or something, like number 20th or something. Which is, I think it's cool. There could be a lot of stories to talk about, I suppose, in Hunger Games. With its whole system, with each of the years and the implied history. But I feel like the implied history is, you know, more interesting, you know, when it's not confirmed necessarily. I'm not sure President Snow was the character I'd focus. I don't even know which character I would focus on if it weren't for President Snow. I mean, seeing Haymitch's, I think Hunger Games would have been pretty cool. I don't know. Am I really going to title this? I'm not going to title this Hunger Games. I didn't do my preface at the beginning where I'm not actually talking about Hunger Games. But I really think I've spoken about things being Battle Royale. I'm not sure what I'm going to title this episode. Maybe, let's see. Hunger Games. We'll just take like a descriptive word from Wikipedia. Dystopian. I don't know, I'll think about it. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time. Bye-bye for now.